You're listening to Into the Disappearing, the podcast where we delve into the eerie, the unexplained, and the chilling mysteries that lurk just beyond the veil of everyday life. I'm Marin Blake. Tonight we travel deep into the heart of Louisiana's marshlands, to a place where time seems to stand still. A forgotten ghost town shrouded in fog and silence. Buried beneath the layers of swamp and decay is a town that once thrived, only to vanish as quickly as it appeared. And now its secrets whisper to those who dare to listen. But we won't just stay in Louisiana tonight. We'll also head west to another long-forgotten ghost town, one abandoned by its own people after a tragedy. The eerie silence of these towns is something that links them, a strange, unsettling quiet that settles over the land, as if the spirits that once lived there are still waiting. This is episode 25, Whispers of the Forgotten Towns. The Louisiana bayous are known for their beauty, their danger, and the eerie silence that settles over them like a shroud at dusk. Deep in the heart of these swampy lands lies a forgotten town, a place that time has all but erased, its streets empty, its buildings sinking slowly into the earth. This place, known to a few locals as Grave Hollow, was once a thriving settlement, home to families, traders, and workers who lived off the land and the water. But one night, in the early 1900s, everything changed. The town disappeared. No one knows for sure what happened. Some say the residents fled in the dead of night, driven by fear of something they couldn't explain. Others say the land itself turned against them, swallowing the town whole, leaving only the wreckage of forgotten lives. Tonight we'll hear the accounts of two people who ventured into this marshland of lost memories and came back with stories they couldn't forget. Our first witness, Greg Holloway, a local historian and a lifelong resident of Louisiana, has spent years researching the mysteries of Grave Hollow. It wasn't until 2017, however, that he made the journey into the heart of the marshlands to uncover the truth for himself. What he found was far more chilling than he could have imagined. Greg had heard the stories growing up, whispers of the town that was swallowed by the swamp, of people who went there and never returned. He had always chalked it up to local legend, a bit of folklore passed down to scare children. But as an adult, his curiosity got the best of him and he decided to investigate. Armed with maps, GPS equipment, and a camera, Greg set out on a cool fall afternoon, determined to find the ruins of the forgotten town. What he didn't anticipate was the oppressive silence that would greet him as he entered the heart of the swamp.
When I first stepped off the path, the air felt different, heavier. The mosquitoes were thick, the water was still, but there was this strange quiet. You know how the swamp is usually alive with noise? Birds, frogs, insects? But here, nothing. It was like the land was holding its breath. The closer I got to where the town was supposed to be, the more unnerving it felt. The trees were older, the ground softer, like the earth had been soaked in something that wasn't just rain.
As Greg ventured deeper, the path became less distinct, swallowed up by overgrown vegetation. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. It was as though the land itself was trying to keep him out. But Greg pushed forward, determined to uncover the town's secrets. He eventually stumbled upon the remains of an old wooden structure, half sunken into the earth. It was clear this had once been a building of some kind, but now it was nothing more than a dilapidated shell, worn by years of neglect and nature's reclaiming touch.
I found the first piece of the town and I thought, this is it. I found it. But when I stepped inside, I swear something changed. There was this feeling, like I wasn't supposed to be there. The air grew colder, even though it was a warm day. I heard something. Footsteps, soft at first, like someone was walking just behind me. But when I turned, there was no one there. It was just me standing in the ruins, with the swamp pressing in around me.
The deeper Greg explored, the more intense the sensations became. The feeling of being watched, of hearing footsteps echoing in the empty spaces. It wasn't until he entered a small clearing in the woods that he felt the full weight of the town's tragic history. In the center of the clearing, there was a large, rotting oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching out like twisted fingers. Beneath the tree, Greg discovered something that would haunt him forever. A series of weathered grave markers, unmarked but strangely placed in a neat row. It was as if the people of Grave Hollow had been buried in secret, forgotten by time.
I don't know how to explain it. When I saw those graves, it was like something snapped inside me. The air turned thick, almost suffocating. And then I heard it. A voice, soft, distant. It wasn't a whisper, but more like someone calling my name. It wasn't loud, but it was insistent. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt like it was coming from the earth itself.
Greg left that day, but the experience stayed with him. When he returned to town and began researching the history of Grave Hollow, he uncovered disturbing details. According to Old Town records, a series of strange deaths had occurred in the years leading up to the town's disappearance. There were whispers of an outbreak, of people falling ill, and of people vanishing without a trace. Some believed the town had been cursed, while others said it was simply the land's doing. The swamp reclaiming what was always its own. Greg's story isn't the only one. Our second witness, Jessica Rogers, a paranormal investigator from Baton Rouge, had heard the same legends about Grave Hollow. She too ventured into the swamp in search of answers. But what she found was a confrontation with the unknown. Jessica had been investigating haunted sites across Louisiana for years. When she first heard about Grave Hollow, she dismissed it as just another spooky story. But after seeing Greg's account, she felt compelled to visit the town herself, hoping to document the strange phenomena he had experienced. What Jessica found that night was nothing like what she expected.
I set up camp just outside the ruins, about a mile from where Greg had found the graves. I wasn't sure what I was going to find, but I wasn't prepared for the overwhelming silence. It wasn't just the lack of wildlife, it was a complete void. Nothing, not even the wind. As soon as I turned on my equipment, I started picking up strange readings. Static, disembodied voices. At first, I thought it was interference, but the voices, they were saying something. I could make out words. Leave. Get out.
Jessica's equipment continued to pick up strange phenomena. Her video cameras recorded fleeting images, shadows that darted just outside the frame, figures that appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye. It wasn't until she ventured into the heart of the ruins, near the same oak tree Greg had discovered, that things took a more sinister turn.
I felt something cold, like fingers on my neck. When I turned, there was nothing there, but the temperature dropped. It dropped so fast, I could see my breath in the air. Then I heard a sound, like a low humming, vibrating through the ground. And that's when I saw it. A figure, tall, distorted, like it wasn't fully there. It was standing between the trees, its face hidden in shadow. But I could feel it looking at me. It didn't move, didn't speak. It just stood there.
Jessica's encounter was brief, but it was enough to leave her rattled. She packed up and left the swamp that night, vowing never to return. But like Greg, she couldn't shake the feeling that the land held something ancient and restless, a presence that had been disturbed by their presence, something that wanted to be left alone. Grave Hollow remains a forgotten town, its secrets buried beneath the swampy waters and tangled trees. But those who venture too close to its ruins, who dare to listen to its whispers, often find themselves leaving with more than they came for. And now we head west, across the country to another forgotten town. This one lies deep in the mountains of Arizona, Abandoned in the 1930s after a tragic explosion took the lives of the entire mining community. The town of Red Hollow is just as eerie and forgotten, but its story is one of loss, rage, and an unsolved mystery that continues to haunt the land. Red Hollow, once a bustling mining town nestled in the foothills, had its heyday in the early 20th century. But in 1932, a devastating explosion rocked the entire town, leveling buildings, killing miners, and leaving nothing behind but a wasteland of charred wood and rubble. The explosion was said to have been caused by faulty equipment, but there are rumors that it was deliberate. An act of sabotage meant to cover up something darker, something the miners had discovered deep within the mine. Now, Red Hollow is a ghost town, a place where no one dares to set foot. But that doesn't mean the town is truly abandoned. I spoke to former resident Clara Dawson, who had lived in the town before the explosion. She remembers the night of the blast as if it were yesterday.
We were all asleep when it happened. The blast shook the earth. It felt like the whole mountain had cracked in two. The next morning, there was nothing left. I lost everyone. My husband, my friends. The town was wiped out, and all they found in the rubble were burned bodies, nothing more. But you know what they never found? The miners' families, who had gone missing days before. They were never found in the wreckage, but I know they were there. Something happened down there.
It's said that the voices of those lost miners can still be heard, echoing through the empty streets of Red Hollow, whispering their final secrets to anyone who dares to listen. If you've experienced something like Greg or Jessica, or if you've visited Grave Hollow or Red Hollow and witnessed the eerie phenomena for yourself, we want to hear your story. Contact the show and share what you've seen. Next week, we'll take a journey to the abandoned mines of Colorado, where something deep within the earth still calls to those who dare to listen. Until then, I'm Marin Blake. Stay aware, stay away from the swamp, and if you hear whispers in the trees, don't follow them.
When the night gets bright and the stars align, we stir up dreams in cosmic time. A little stardust, a little tune, you're mixing it with the